something I still believe in. Like, even if we're selling quite a bit of real estate now, I'm thinking about who I can take for lunch next, who's at the next level where I want to be. And so I feel like that's been a theme throughout my career, is just go talk to people who are where you want to be and learn from them and keep that mantra going throughout your career.
Welcome back. Today we're speaking with Jesse Williamson. So Jesse runs a phenomenal team. He has about 120 million is what they did last year. So average sale price about 1.2 million. North and West Vancouver is the market that he works. He has 4 agents total in his team and a support staff as well. He's the top 1% at Royal LePage and the number 1 agent at North Vancouver Royal LePage. And just a super down-to-earth guy. We had a great chat, and it was just rolling. We realized we didn't push play yet, but it's going to be a great conversation. Jesse, welcome to the call.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
So, Jesse, can you share a little bit about your background before getting into real estate, and then what was it that pulled you into the real estate industry overall?
Yeah, sure. I started right out of university. My mom and her partner were realtors, so she said, you'd be great at this. So I got into it, just kind of fell into it a little bit. I applied to do an MBA, but because I started real estate, it started to pick up. I just kept running with it.
So the university, what did you go through for the university program? Was it business that got you?
Sorry, a Bachelor of Arts at UBC. So I did for school. Yeah, and then honestly, yeah, it was just one of those things where I started grinding away at real estate, and then I just boarded my MBA at Bond University just because I was starting to see some money coming in.
Yeah. Did you always know, with your mom being in real estate, that, hey, listen, after university, I'm gonna jump into that business? Or was it when you were growing up, it's like, I would never jump into that business? It's like, you're always on the phone. And I'm curious to get I've heard agents on both sides of the fence on that one. What was your story?
I think about my dad and how he washed his BMW every single weekend, knowing I would never buy a BMW. He would have me out there. With my mom, though, less so. I was a complete neutral. I mean, this isn't maybe the greatest story to share, but it's, when I was getting ready to leave university, I was like, hey, what should I do with myself? I have a psychology degree. I don't really want to be a therapist. My mom says to me, the guy down the hall is 25 years old. He drives a blacked out Range Rover. Why don't you just try this? And I had a bit of a personality and diligence for it. So started grinding away. And I think, once you kind of can start to see what you're creating, you just run with it. And so it wasn't really, a lifestyle of that I wanted to chase. It was more that I really enjoyed the multifaceted angle of something that I was building, right? And it started to take off in the right ways for me, I guess, is why I kept going with it.
Yeah. It's so good, because some people are like, oh, they have these, like, we'll just say, like, deep, passionate reasons to start real estate. But for me, what I found, it doesn't need to be sexy. It doesn't need to be a deep reason. It just needs to give you some sort of stimulus to start. Like, for me, I didn't know that I was going to like selling real estate. I loved real estate investing. That was one of the reasons that I got into selling real estate, is because I'm like, I want to learn more about real estate investing. And then once you dive into the business and you see it, you're like, huh, I really love it. It wasn't even like this immediate love for me. It was only after knocking on thousands of doors and talking to thousands of people that I realized, oh, I'm actually starting to get better at this. And then I started enjoying it more. So I think for the listeners out there, if you're thinking about jumping into real estate, or maybe you're in real estate right now, it's like, whatever the reason is, even if it's to make money, I think that is still fine. And it's all you need is like a little bit of stimulus or motivation to actually, go back at it when you get a door slammed in your face, right?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like I like you, just started out not knowing where to go. Started by just calling through my Facebook list and then knocking on doors in my neighborhood, and people that would kind of maybe know me. And, people talk to you from the upper window telling you to get out of there. And it's, for some reason, the competitive edge in me was like, one day someone's going to open the door and be like, Jesse, yeah, I'm crazy. I'm thinking about selling. Right. And it does happen. Right. That's how I got some of my first listings. And so, getting to that point, like I look back at, I had like a little beat up BMW convertible. And that first listing that I sold was through door knocking. And it was like a little duplex for maybe 400 grand. But I just remember fist pumping out the top of that convertible, just being like, man, that was from probably 20 weeks of just knocking on doors. So, there's little wins throughout the way that I don't think you're going to get working at the bank, right? It's just stuff like that. You learn to build like the accounting side of a business. You just learn a business inside and out from marketing, advertising, and accounting. It fulfills something in me anyway.
Yeah. So this is, I'm glad we're going down this path. So you jumped into the business and you just started having conversations. So you got these conversations through your Facebook list you had mentioned, like door knocking. Was there anything else that you did to generate business to get the airplane off the ground, so to speak?
If I look back at the early days, it was sitting down at AA and my Facebook friends list and just hammering through anyone I had ever known. The aim on that was to just, I think my whole MO was create a database, just get names and numbers. And I used the backbone of my email newsletter. And so I would call, AA. Well, actually, I had a name come to mind there, but the call them and say, look, I'm just started real estate. I am setting up an email newsletter. Do you know anyone looking to buy or sell? Okay, cool. Can I put you on there? And then just go all the way down. And so that put away 500 names and numbers on people that cared enough to say yes, or at least were too nervous to say no, whatever the reason is. But then those are my people. And then I door knocked. You do all the free stuff, and then some of my first deals came from the people I found on Facebook, and then I got their parents. And just because you show you're diligent, you can work hard, you're willing to work for free, which you have to be for the first 5 years, and then that spread my database and my network to the point now where leads are inbound. But it's those first steps on cold calling, warm calling, networking. I joined the real estate board just because the other point of it, I think, is just to learn your market and learn the agents, meet everyone in the industry. You got to have lawyer contacts, mortgage brokers. You're a source of value. So people come to you looking for the smallest of questions could turn into a network of penthouse listings. You just got to have knowledge kind of set up behind you so that when somebody inquires, kind of your market, and you're a resource basically.
I love that with knowing the resources and having those connections. But one thing I don't hear too often, which I'm in total agreement with, is like know the other agents in your marketplace as well, because it's like they might have a pocket listing or something. Can you elaborate on how you did that and what you did to build these relationships through the years?
Yes, so I find that an extremely valuable asset to our business is knowing the other realtors. So when I first started, obviously you don't have tons to do other than phoning people that probably don't want to talk to you, but you jump through those. I started with the real estate board. I joined as a volunteer just to help like organize Christmas events, there was like 6 initiatives that we'd have to jump on for the real estate board as volunteer. Um, I started there, met some some of them were new agents, some of them were seasoned agents that were just helping. But then I was involved in all of the networking events for the REBGB, the Greater Vancouver Real Estate Board. So I'd meet lots of people through that. And that's so helpful when you're going and you're making offers on properties. People know who you are. That makes that transaction more seamless, which translates to the buyer's experience when they just want to be happy buying a home. If you can make that a very simple transaction for them, that's going to produce way more referrals. So I find that valuable. I find it valuable when you're in multiple offers. If you know the other realtor, multiple offers, comes and goes in more recent years, but having a relationship with the other realtor and them knowing who you are can provide a leg up because you are a very sound person in your marketplace versus, it can be hugely helpful. Last piece is we actually to host an agents party at our house for our local agents annually. More just because,
Oh,
we've been
wow.
in it for so long, we like to reconnect with people, and that doesn't really happen anymore. But we do that just because, we get to know we get to reconnect with agents that are really high producers in the neighborhood. And that provides value to the customers too, that we share our experiences. We can have a leg up on what's coming on the market. Um, it also just makes this job more fun, not being in competition. It's more cooperative.
Yeah, I love that idea. I love it. It's interesting. So the Toronto Real Estate Board's the largest real estate board in the world. There's over 70,000 agents. Um, we're our main service area is just north of Toronto. So we're the local agents in our area. We have really good relationships through the years. But that's where. What would you say to maybe it's a Toronto agent that says, "Listen, there's over 70,000 agents." in this on this Toronto real estate board, and half of them don't even do a transaction, right? And so what would you do in a market like that, that is maybe it's harder to host the event, like to build these relationships, to make it the transactions and negotiating easier? Because I totally agree, if when you have connection with the other side, you can still go to the wall for your client, but it's just a different conversation when it's somebody that they're aware who you are, and you have background together.
Our market's similar. I think we have 20,000 something agents, and it's real
Yeah.
estate's hard to crack into. You have to have the personality, you have to want to break into the market, and you got to put in your time. Um, I know lots of new agents that hammer me all the time, looking for open houses, looking for opportunities. We have what's called like agents opens, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I see the same guys coming every time to my agents opens listings. Like, how you doing, Sid? This guy's always there, right? And then when Sid brings me an offer, I'm like, this guy reminds me of me, right? So I think, I already have that connection to him. I want to help him. So I think just showing up every day, getting out to whatever it is that is kind of agent focused. Yeah, anyone coming to my open house is supporting me, supporting my listing. So you're building those connections even by just showing up. So as a new agent, you might not be able to throw out a 100 agent party at your house, but you're definitely able to go to the Christmas party, start meeting people, go to open houses, help your fellow agents hosting opens. Just let them know you're there for them if they need help. Things like this, like it goes a long way, and over time, you compound anything in this business, like whether it's the sales to just like making relationships. It's gonna come to fruition in a decade, and you're gonna be very happy you did it.
Oh, man, that's so good. It's stuff that they don't teach you in school, right? But that's the top producer mindset, and you're taking action with it. So if you have 20,000 on the real estate board, and it's say 100 are coming, is it who you did a transaction with? Was that who you invite to the party, or is it just the top agents in your marketplace? Or how do you come up with the list of who to invite to this party? Which I love the idea, by the way.
Yeah, we started. Well, our brokerage was Prudential back 10
Yeah,
years
I
ago.
wanna be invited to this party, Jesse. Like,
Uh,
that's where I'm coming from. Like, what? How
yeah,
damn, man, like,
Brandy, if you're
that's
listening,
fun,
send one to
right?
Mark's address. Um,
Yeah,
the
right.
We said honestly, it's kind of from the old days, we'll say, of real estate. So it's like my friends when I was getting started. Um, and then it's, definitely people we enjoyed working with will get invited, but it's, also Monique doesn't want to host 1,000. So it has to just be more like friends that we know, and then other people in our local marketplace that like we see at schools, we see out, like people that we like, basically. And not that we don't like people that aren't invited. It's just there's a limit.
Yeah, no, I got it. Well, if I was in your market, Jesse, that'd be one of my goals, is to build a relationship with you guys. So it's like, I'd like to get an invite. So I just think it's smart, and because word spreads through the industry pretty quick. I've learned through the years, that it spreads in so a good way, but it spreads faster if there's anything bad, right? But something like this is a good thing, so love it. Um, okay, so we talked about lead gen. Is there anything else that you're doing right now that is like your primary thing that's been working really well for you for generating new business?
Yes, but I don't think it's REW has been working really well for us. Online lead gens, we've gone through all of them over the years, done them all, and that's probably the only one that I've stuck with. The rest of them are just more trouble than they are worth. That's my opinion, I guess. But we're pretty good at inside sales, and converting those leads are very difficult. Um, the I'd say the one thing I probably missed touching on the original days, like back when I was lead genning just guerrilla style, was open houses. So back then I was single, living in my dad's basement, just living the dream. And I would just run 4 open houses a weekend, 11 to 1, 2 to 4, 11 to 1, 2 to 4. That's if you add in the Facebook calls, you add in the email newsletters, you add in all the little things I was doing, and then you combine it with a storefront on the weekends, people just will wander in, and you're just creating relationships for the future. You're getting people that are genuinely interested in real estate into your storefront, and that's practice communicating with people. Then you're talking to them about, you're working on your sales skills, and you have 8 hours a day, or sorry, a weekend, to try to collect. Like my goal was always get 2 phone numbers per weekend, and that's some goal you can achieve. And if I get 2 phone numbers a weekend, I add them to my database. They're getting my newsletter, and I just keep going. And by the time you're 10 years in, you have thousands of names and numbers. And then we don't have to door knock unless we want to. It just inbounds from there. But that's a decade of 8 hours a weekend open houses.
So good, man. It is simple yet extremely effective if you do it consistently. I think that's one of the challenges that I've seen is like, oh, I've done, a couple open houses and nobody came. And then you don't do another one for another couple months. And then you might do 1 or 2, but it's like intermittent versus like every weekend. I just do 4. That's just part of my rhythm. And I'll play the other side of it is agents that get in the business are like, I don't have any listings. What advice would you have for them to be able to still, have 4 open houses a weekend when they don't have listings?
Yeah, that's the exact problem I have. No listings. You just call realtors that have listings in your office. You say, I'm happy to host this open Saturday, Sunday, 2 to 4 for you. And that's it. And you can find 4 simply. Find somewhere you like to host opens. Like I was always doing our main, like I was 20, how old am I now? I was probably 22 to 26. And so I thought my best marketplace is going to be like Lower Lonsdale, which is our downtown of North Van. Just condos there. People will be similar to me. They will come in, they will like me. And then that's where I was going to build my relationships. It's the busiest area of North and West Van. So that's where I was cherry picking my open houses so that if I was there every weekend, you couldn't go down to the market without knowing Jesse Williamson's name on a sandwich board since 2011.
So good. Yeah, it's so good. And it's a good name to remember too, Jesse Williamson. So um, it's good for the listeners to hear that you were very intentional on the listings that you picked, because that's where I've seen it. It's like, in some brokerages, they maybe blast that out to all the agents like, hey, can anybody host an open house for me? And it's like a very unsaleable, overpriced listing in a not a great area, right? It's like, yeah, I'll take it. Now, you might still take that to build a relationship, but if you want to pick your 4 and be like, get your highest ROI for that time, go and cherry pick the best listings and then call those agents first, the saleable listings in the area that you want to double down on, maybe a better turnover area where there's going to be naturally more traffic there. I think like giving permission to the agents to say, hey, listen, yes, you can call other agents in the area, and if you position it as in not them doing you a favor, but like you'd like to help them sell the listing, and you position it that way, I think that there you might get half of the agents say no to you, but the other half they're going to say yeah, like I like how Jesse is hustling. I want to help him, and it's actually going to make it look good in front of the seller as well, because it's like, okay, this is extra exposure that our office is doing for them.
Yeah, yeah, couldn't agree more. It's like I have some really proactive guys that every time I list a new property, they'll be the first person to reach out. Hey, saw your new listing. Can I do the opens there this weekend? And I'm like, man, I love it, but I have to do this one, right? Or I love it, but I have a team to feed as well. But it's great.
No, exactly. And eventually it's like much rain wears the marble, right? If they just keep on asking. Eventually somebody in the brokerage is going to say yes. And I think that that's, it's hard to say no to a up and coming hungry agent. Eventually, I mean, for us, if it was another brokerage reaching out, we probably wouldn't agree to it. But if
Mhm.
it was somebody obviously within the team, other agents on the team is going to say yes. But then within the brokerage themselves, if you just keep on calling other agents, eventually somebody's going to say yes. And maybe you add some sort of extra value add that would make them want to say yes. And so I think if you're putting yourself in their shoes, is like, how is this going to look, and how can you make them look good in front of their client? I think you'll probably get a higher hit rate there. So
Honestly,
that's great. I love that. The open houses.
to
Go
feed
ahead.
more into that is the one guy that reaches out to me every listing. I actually think he is so over prepared for those listings. He door knocks around the area. He has his own feature sheets ready. He has an iPad that says sign in here, get the information electronically. Like, he has a system for the open house where I'm like, if he wants to do my open house, he is very qualified. Get him in there. He's gonna, like, I don't always have the time to door knock around the listing before the open, but that's like the complete open house. So if I'm offering sellers the complete open house because this guy's going to come and I trust him, they're going to trust him.
Yeah, exactly. So he's built up that trust where it's more likely you're going to say yes to him than to somebody else, because he's planted those seeds through the months. That's really good insight, this idea of preparation. Can we talk a little bit more about that, Jesse? That was one of the things that I'd asked you. What's maybe one superpower that's, we'll say, has served you through the years for yourself? And that was one of the things that you had mentioned, was like preparation in the business. Can you talk a little bit about that, and how that's helped you be more successful in the business?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was saying that probably the thing that I lead with is the over preparation kind of angle on anything, and it's whether it's it's neurotic or not. I just have this overwhelming need for everyone to, I guess I want to see everyone succeed first and foremost. I want to make sure everyone has every bit of information. So if it's a strata property, I'm researching all the documents. I'm searching all the buildings around the sites, making sure there's nothing coming up in the area. I subscribe to all the programs that allow me to.
Jesse, can you elaborate what you mean by strata property? For the listeners?
Yeah, anything that has 5 units or more and requires different strata documents. So you're getting strata meeting minutes with those stratas. You're getting Form B, financials, depreciation reports now on every property, engineering reports. So there's a breadth of between 100 and 1,000 pages to read for any of these buildings or townhouse complexes. So I know, I think some people go through their purchase and they'll say, look, I want to buy this condo. And I'll say, that's a great condo. We get to the point, we write an offer, it's accepted. Now I explain them their due diligence process, which is get your financing, do a home inspection, and read all the strata documents. There's a lot of times where clients just don't care about the strata documents. They're just like, nah, it's a strata problem. They'll pay for it. But there's a lot of issues that could arise in a strata building that you want to prepare your clients for. So if I don't want to see my client get nuked with a $41,000 special levy for a garage in 3 years, and I haven't prepared them for it, um, I think in reviewing everything in a whole, whether it's that condo, whether it's a house, I sleep better knowing I've completely given them every bit of information. Even if they don't buy the place, you just feel like they're making a sound decision. They're going to be able to trade that up, and your business is going to build. For we're probably in this for at least 3 decades, if not 4. So you can't operate transaction to transaction. You have to focus on person to person, and you have to make sure that person's making a good decision. So it might cost you a commission to get them out of this one. But if they make a better decision that's going to help them trade up, that's going to help you start a family, buy your own real estate, carry on. Like you're, as we were saying earlier, reputation, a good reputation will carry you through the business, but you do something underhanded that could ruin it. So I just really believe in making sure everyone's making the best decision possible.
Yeah, that's good. And I would, from what I've seen through the years, when you do research on a property or research on a question and you go deep on it, you retain that information. And then the next one, and you probably had this now that you've, all the selling over 100 homes a year. You go in and you list a property, you do deep research, and then like 3 years later, like, oh, I'm getting called in on that same property. I already did a CMA three years ago. I've already done the research on it, but now you do the research again, but then you have context and further insight that nobody else would have, right? And by going deep, it actually just makes you more knowledgeable. So when you're speaking to people off the cuff in certain areas, it's just like, holy geez, like Jesse, he knows his stuff. Like he is a market expert, which positions you as an authority, is what people, as long as you're relatable, it's like, this guy is a market expert. I trust him more and I'm more likely to work with them.
Totally agree. Like I can remember things, the most random things that I would research back 14 years ago, just because I was door knocking a home and they're like considering listing with me. And there was this undeveloped piece of land behind. And I was like, wonder what's happening there. And I went deep into the rabbit hole of who owns it and whatever else. And that has been valuable information going forward, because that is now one of the only undeveloped pieces of land left in that area. And everyone asks me what they're doing with it. I'm like, dude, I got the history on that thing for 15 years back. So it's right in that, you do that research once, you get asked the same question 5 times a year. Like I notice everyone's got the same question in different markets. Like it serves you going forward just to do the homework now.
Yeah. And if you're competing on a listing and if you inform the seller on something that the other agents didn't tell them and the client didn't know about it either, I mean, like that's just elevates you to a whole other level. And the likelihood of getting that listing goes up. I remember one story, Thomas, my brother Thomas, he's one of our top salespeople on our team. He sells like 100 homes a year. He's a maniac. And anyways, he went on this listing and he noticed the chimney was repaired, and he caught it. He's like, "Oh, I noticed your chimney," and he's like, "Huh?" He's like, "That's pretty good eye that you have, that you caught that." He's like, "Nobody else did it," and is like that was actually one of the reasons why they said, like, later on they told them, it's like, you notice the detail on that. So you don't underestimate the detail. And I think if you just learn a little bit more every day, like you go on the home inspections, you ask questions, you learn the major functions of a home, like you learn the property all around the subject area, and the history. And like the example that you gave is wonderful, because that it'll all piece together, where when you're out, you can start to, drop bombs of value. And it's like, man, that gives you a huge competitive advantage.
Dude, go on home inspections as much as you can. Like go learn the product, because that's was probably one like insecurity I had at the start, was like I don't look at a house and I'm like, what am I selling? I don't know anything in the walls. I don't know the system. So I actually joined a contractor, and for 2 years did estimating like half a day, just so I could learn housing, how it's built, how it's like, what's the process of getting this house to where it's at, condo. And I feel like that was a huge level up in my confidence on sales. Was like I could probably inspect a home now, seeing 1,000 home inspections. But that's somewhere you have to get to as well, is just having that confidence, being so educated that people can feel that confidence from you.
Can you dive a little deeper? So you said you did it part-time, a house estimator. What was that? So it was a construction or a contractor that I've never heard of that. Can you elaborate on that point?
Yeah, I can't remember when this was. This was like 10 years ago plus, but I called up one of my wife's contacts at Edgewood Construction, and I said, "Look, I'm looking to learn construction. Any chance there's an office position?" And they were like, yeah, no, I don't think so. And I just kept on him for maybe 2 months. And he was like, all right, maybe there is a spot for you. And then he actually, the cool thing was he gave me a set of plans for a house they were building and said, estimate how much concrete we need for this. And just, I just worked all night trying to figure out how much concrete. I probably got it completely wrong, but I think he realized that I wasn't just bothering him. Um, so then he gave me a job kind of the next week, and I got in there. He taught me kind of the ropes. I helped getting quotes, assembling quotes for building new construction. We did tenant improvements, built some medical clinics, built some brand new homes, did like modest renos. It helps you. I tell you, that was probably the best thing that I did for my career, because now if I look at
Mm.
someone's, people always ask you, oh, I need to redo the kitchen, right? And my 10-year-old numbers are no longer valid, but I can tell you the problems that will come along with that, or I can tell you generally how that process is going to look for you, which I guarantee very few people have that experience in this industry. Um, there's, I mean, the amount of construction knowledge that I gained from that, pricing and land assessments, that, because they were always buying, like looking at buying land and doing multifamily. Um, it's invaluable, and it really helps you with the confidence and sets you apart from other realtors.
It speaks so highly of you, Jesse, that you spent the time to do that. Like, it's one thing to, it's like, yeah, I need to learn. You read a couple of books, but you actually, you reached out, you're persistent,
Mhm.
you got hired. And then this was while you were an agent as well. Is that at the
Yeah,
beginning? Was that right? You were doing this at the same time.
yeah,
Man, that's such a great story. Oh man, it's so good. And here's the cool thing is, like, you can learn anything, right? If you're not, we'll say, if you're falling short or you feel a little bit insecure, because like confidence is a big thing as an agent. I see it in new agents getting into the business. You know, sometimes it takes a month, sometimes it's like 6 months to, in order to, walk with a little bit of confidence on how the transaction works. But if you're in and you're just not able to have real conversations with homeowners about, house function, it's like that if you're intentional about learning that, you will learn it over time, and that's going to position you and level you up as a professional. I just love the to the extent that you did that. That's such a great story. And look at you now. I mean, you once you did that, that was an investment that's paid off now for decades, right? When you're speaking with others. And I would imagine with contractors, when they're looking at a home, you can feel confident having a conversation with them, especially with your background. And if you told me your background as well, that would just elevate you at a whole other level.
yeah, exactly. Right, like just knowing what gets built into a dollar per foot for buildable square feet. You're like, most people probably just use a $450 number and just heard that once and carry it through. But, having built out a bunch of performas myself, if someone tells me they can do it for 200 a foot these days, I'm like, man, we need to use that guy for everything, because, he's found somebody who's willing to work for free.
Yeah, yeah. So good. Man, this is that's such a great nugget right there. All right, you're in appointment, so you go and meet a homeowner. Is there a like a set presentation that you follow, and is there something in the appointment that you do that helps you be more successful?
I'm sure there is. So let's go with, I guess we separate them into buyers consultations and listing presentations. So in a buyer consultation, we have a really nice buyer's consult, which started from a Word document that I would just bring. But over the years, it has been refined. It explains who we are. It explains, the places we've sold, which if you haven't sold too many, take your team sales. That's something that I really leaned on in my early days, was uh, advertising my mom and her partner sales, because I had sold nothing. But people started to be like, wow, you've sold so many homes. I'm like, we have sold tons of homes. Let us help you. I have a great backbone, a great mentor. Um, Anyways, sell yourself a bit. Be really prepared on the process. Give them examples of paperwork. In the appointment itself, I kind of, buyer consult kind of seems a little bit, you got to read the room. You just kind of flow through a conversation on I would say prepare, do a few with your coworkers and stuff to be ready, but it's about them. It's about finding out what they're looking for. It's about, giving them value. I think they want to feel that you are the right person for the job. Like every phone call you're on is essentially an interview, so just be prepared. Um, and just have the resources available to them that they can't find elsewhere. Like I use private client services because very few people do, but it allows people to first of all get your name in their inbox every day, but it also provides value. It's something that people don't pay for, but I leaned on that since I started, just being like, this will give you the sale prices, this will give you the days on market. If you just get set up by this other guy, he's going to give you what's available to everyone, which is Paragon. So I pay for this to give you some extra value. Whether you work with me or not, I'm happy to give it to you for free. Um, Over prepare for the meeting, know where they want to move to, know some of the listings that might apply, and offer to show them homes. Basically, try to create that connection. You're just building that relationship. Um, if I shift to listing presentations, which probably also applies to buyer consults, you have to sell yourself. You have to be a little bit shameless. Like I'm honestly not very good at selling myself. But my wife is a realtor and she's got to be the best salesperson alive. I bring her because as much as I'm over prepared, I'm data driven, I'm analytical. I'll be like, this is why your house is worth this much. I've called every agent around. I know the market. Um, I, I have that hesitation on selling like why I'm so great. I'm top 1%. I've been doing, all the things that you should say as a salesperson, trying to sell your product, which is you. Monique will roll in and be like, Jesse is so diligent. Jesse is top 1% in Canada. He sold
Yeah.
100 homes. She is my secret weapon in that sense,
Yeah.
where we've been up against 5 people and got the listing because, she was just pump how hard we work, which is true. It's just you have to get over that. Like I now do it on my own and be like, this is why you should hire me. But selling yourself and being, comfortable doing that is probably the biggest thing in a listing presentation because you're going to be up against, if you're up against other people, you're up against some of the biggest players in your marketplace usually.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's so good. Love it. Love it. How about for the services? So when you're working with them on the buying or on the selling end, is there anything that you do that's like, this is wow, that has really good feedback, gets really good feedback from clients, whether you're working with them on the buying or on the selling side that you deliver?
Are we talking customer service level or like,
Yeah. Yeah, like customer, it can be like how you market a listing, could be how you deliver your, your buyer service. It could be, what you do to, negotiate, just something that the clients are like, wow, like this really stands out, that you've done really well, that they really appreciated.
I think, I believe the secret sauce is in responsiveness, especially this day and age. I just
Mm,
feel like, if someone sends you a message and you don't respond for 2 hours, those 2 hours are like, those are painful for people. So I feel like this is a communications game. And in the world where you message somebody, you expect something back instantly. You don't want to be the guy that's 3 hours later. Oh, hey, sorry about that. Right. You're not that important. Um, I think and I teach that to anyone that talks to me, is just in this day and age, you got to be instant. Like if I get a inbound lead, it's like, oh, crazy, on the phone immediately, right? Hey, I saw you just reached out. I'll get right back to you. People feel cared for. People feel like you're on it. People feel like you're the most diligent realtor they've ever seen. Um, I feel like that is probably setting up a system where you can get back to people right away is fundamental.
it's so good, and I'll just build on that. Like I remember when we bought her, it was like it was the home that we wanted. Like this was about 14 years ago. I was on the water. It was exactly what we wanted. It was off market. We submitted the offer, and I submitted it on our behalf, and the other agent had good rapport with him, but then he went silent, and then the whole day I didn't hear anything back. He didn't confirm the offer. As it went silent, had a irrevocable that came and went, and I'm like, at this time, like I was selling a lot of homes, and it was like, I'm like, I don't know why I'm going like I'm going berserk, I'm going mental here because this agent's not here. And in the background, I'm thinking, oh man, like this agent, he's probably underselling. He's trying to shop my offer. It was like the stories that were going on in my head were crazy. Finally gets back to me. He's like, oh yeah, we were just waiting for the wife, and looks like we're gonna have a counter offer here in a little bit, and everything was fine. But like the whole day was like, we'll just say very taxing on me. And I thought to myself, I'm like, is like, this is what clients go through, especially when you're negotiating, you submit the offer. It's like emotions are at the next level. And this is where I found that with training our agents as well, one of the things is like, even when there's no update, you got to update them that there's no update, right? Especially at the time of negotiation. And this is easy to overlook when you're in the business. You're selling homes every day, and the client doesn't want to be texting you, but they are like thinking about it on the other side. And so I just to build on what you're saying, it's so important, responsiveness. But even like when you're submitting the offer, that's where it's like the level of care is should be elevated at that time, because emotions run much higher, especially if they think they might lose a home when they're in a competing situation.
Yeah, I don't think I can add anything. It's that period between sending the offer and like not knowing what's going on. They're creating conspiracies in their head, like you were saying. Um, and you'd rather those conspiracies be, wow, Jesse's so responsive, or Mark's so attuned to my needs. Not, I wonder what Mark's doing. You think he's golfing? Like, I haven't heard from him in 12 hours. I want to buy this $2 million mansion that
Yeah.
I love.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you don't want to let them know. It's like, hey, listen, I'm taking the kids out to a sports soccer game, and then I'll get back to you after that about your offer that you submitted that we're competing on. Like that is not the time to talk about your kids, or that you're tucking in your kids before you. Like that is, do not want to be saying that at the time of negotiation. Is like that's the time you want to be as we'll just say as respond that's gold right there. I think you nailed it. Responsiveness is like seems so simple from a customer service wow, but when you do it, it gives them relief was what they're looking for. um okay, last question before we get into our final rapid fire is, when it comes to the investing side in real estate, what advice would you have for the agents out there when it comes to real estate investing? Is this something that you recommend to agents that are out there to buy real estate? And is there any advice when it comes to investing in real estate that you have for them?
Mm. Yes. Yes, I will have. Everyone's different. I think our strategy is I have this concept of the property ladder in my head all the time. So we worked our property ladder up to a house that we are happy with. So we've created a home there. We have kids. They go to the local school. This arm of my ladder is done. I have now, we're investing in condos in the hopes that the equity will grow and we'll turn those into townhomes and eventually detached land. Um, my mom, at least, is immigrant from Europe, and they have a bunch of land in Slovakia. And I'm very much we need to you need to hold some land as an investment because the density will keep going. I just feel like that is my MO. So I buy what we know. We know condos. I can't in our marketplace just jump out and buy a piece of land. It's extremely expensive. But what I can do is buy an apartment and put a tenant in there and pay that mortgage down and watch that equity grow. And then using the savings that I have in that, eventually I can trade that up for maybe a townhouse, rent it for more, watch that grow as well, and then turn that into a piece of land. Um, and I've just bought a few condos thinking like, what, that's at least a bit of a pension. If nothing else, the mortgage is going to get paid off and there's no pension in this game. So at the very least in 25 years, as long as, there's no apocalypse, I'm going to have $1 million, which is something that's missing in this industry probably.
100%. I totally agree. It's like that's actually one of the biggest regrets I hear from agents. I wish I would have bought more real estate. And 10 years from now, you will be looking back at today and saying, I should have bought everything. Right. So,
I bought my first one. I think I was 22. My mom helped me with that one. And man, it was no brainer looking back at it today. Back then, I was like, man, I don't know, this place is a bit of a dump. But now you look at it, it's renting for like 2x what the costs are on it. And it's probably going to get redeveloped and it's worth 3 times what I paid. But you knowing like, back then we were even saying, man, 2-bedroom condos are 400,000. Where could it go from here? I mean, it's hard for a university student to conceptualize, but my mom said buy, I bought, and look at us now. I think just buy, just get something.
Get something. Love that. Great advice. Your mom's very wise. All right, so we got 3 last questions here for you, Jesse, and we're going to wrap up. You ready for rapid fire?
Do it.
All right. So first question is your favorite book that's made the biggest impact in your career.
Yes, this one would be, it's by Chris Waters, a guy out of Texas, and it's called The $1,000,000 Real Estate Team. I've listened to it probably 5 times. It just gives you kind of a step-by-step. It gets really complicated, but easy way to kind of get started. And I re-listen to it all the time. Be like, hey, now I'm at this stage. Now I'm at this stage. So I thought that guy did a really good job on that book.
Very cool. Second question, 3 words that best describe you.
Diligent, hardworking, and probably resourceful.
Very cool. Final question. What advice would you give to the listeners who are looking to take their real estate business to the next level?
Get a really good mentor. Like that's, you get someone to help you out. It's something I still believe in. Like even if we're selling quite a bit of real estate now, I'm thinking about who I can take for lunch next, who's at the next level where I want to be. And so I feel like that's been a theme throughout my career is just go talk to people who are where you want to be and learn from them and keep that mantra going throughout your career. So that would be my advice for the agent looking to level up.
Yeah, great advice. And then, so for the agents out there listening, if they want to send you a referral, whether it's a buyer or seller, maybe somebody locally that wants to join your team, what's the best way they can reach out to you?
Best way is always by phone, 604-754-0678. All roads lead to Rome, though. You go to the website, thewilliamsons.ca, any way you can find me on the internet, I'll get that message.
Amazing. Jesse, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was just a great conversation. Well done.
Yeah, appreciate the time, Mark. Thanks so much for including me.
Yeah, right on. And thank you everyone for listening. If you enjoyed the show, you can go ahead and subscribe to the channel and share with any other agents you think will benefit from it. I love you guys and keep on going full out.